Hi everyone. So nice to see everyone. I mean, I can't see everyone, but I know that you guys are there. You're not fake for sure. So as you can see, I have a lot of white hair and a lot of long hair is the lucky part. White hair is the fact that can't be taken away. I've been around for a few years, 20, 25 years in this internet world since 99, and done a few things, lost more than one things, and as Govind said, failed more often than ever succeeded. But I think at the moment I run a company called Games to Win. It's a casual mobile gaming business. No RMG, no gambling, no rummy, no whatever you want. Pure focused on global markets. And we have three genres that we are very proud of. We got them in early: dress up games, car parking, driving games, and narrative games. And in the book that our friends here have so kindly agreed to distribute from mine, I've talked about how this business was kind of modeled around Barbie and around Mattel's toys. So when I was looking for how do I make a company that has sustainable games, very sustainable, not sustainable the way we know, but games that will not go out of fashion, evergreen, I came across this. So that's the background, but 550 million downloads. So, I mean, we've achieved some stuff, but lots more to go. But there's one part of the PPT that I will be very proud to share, that we've been now profitable almost for like 12 years. And, we won't let up on that. So that's the thing, right? So again, thank you again. And sorry, just one, I also am a art of living teacher, and I teach meditation with my wife in our level 2. Govind is again very dear student of ours for many years. His wife also graduated 700 students, so very happy around that. And of course, writing is my passion.
Alok, I am one of the student.
Oh, so sweet. Of course, I remember. Sorry. So guys, on this whole thing, I was just asking Govind and Anupam, what is the platform's real value prop? And they were talking about failure, celebrating failure, and it's such a beautiful thing to, talk about. So let me juice up the conversation by talking about venture capital failures. The failures of VCs, and how do they do? First, let me give you a macro data point, right? So in India, a lot of these VCs raise money, right? As you know, the business model is a venture capitalist who meets you is a front, a person who's running a company, or mostly he's representing a very large international brand that has been around for years, and they have an Indian setup. So it could be, Sequoia or one of these guys. Or there are local companies like Nexuses who have set up shop. So it looks very prosperous, wow, they got so much money, they talk in a very different way, they kind of bully you around and so on and so forth. But the question is that how do they do? मतलब उनको पैसा कौन देता है और उनके पैसे से होता क्या है, right? That is the first question anyone would ask. So who gives them the money are LPs, limited partners. They're all large universities in the US, pension funds, blah, blah, blah. And I'll just throw in a one-liner, like why would someone like Harvard, Wharton, Stanford give them that money? It's very simple. They don't give them their money. They give them 1 or 2% of their money, so that 98% of the money of Harvard will earn 3% interest or 2% interest, because that's the US interest. But that 1% that they spray everywhere might give them 1% back. So that's the model. That चिंटू मिंटू खाली ऐसे, मतलब वो अपने मिसल पाव पर वो डालते हैं ना सेव, तो वो सेव डालते रहते हैं सब जगह, पर वो सेव दिखता बहुत बड़ा है अपने सामने. And of course, family offices. Now it's become a very big jungle. So there were three VC funds who were raising money in India about 5 years ago. Very large ones, names that you will be very familiar with. And they were talking to everyone. So they came and said, we want to raise money. I said, yeah. And the funny thing is, this is what's going to come back to us, right? Whatever we do in our venture or in our life, we always promote what succeeded. So in that presentation, there were these iconic brands like Make My Trip. वो Make My Trip कभी रहेगा कभी नहीं रहेगा, depending on season. अगर डाउन है तो कोविड में हटा देंगे लोगों को, ऐसे सब शाने लोग हैं. ये X11 ये वो फलाना, तो ऐसे लगता है अरे वाह वाह यार बाप रे, क्या फंड बनाया होगा यार, क्या कितना पैसा कमाया होगा. So when you ask them, they don't talk about failure. It's antithesis, antichrist. So I asked him inquiry, I did some more people and I said, यार boss तू बता ना इसका return कितना है 10 साल में 12 साल में. You know, the shocking answer was it was below the return of the index of the Sensex. It's 12-13%. 11. तो बॉस इतना बड़ा शोर करो, इतना बड़ा चीखो चिल्लाओ. Average VCs are returning 10, 12, 8. So they're like us. You know, you can't beat the Sensex. That's why you invest in the Sensex, unless you're some brave guy and try to do some small cap. So of course there are people who do well, but I'm just explaining to the fundamentalists they have equal share of failures, and that is why they are able to do only average return, right? And micro is that, you know, all the VCs I've had in so many VCs. So there was a VC, very famous VC called E Ventures in India. SoftBank, Rupert Murdoch, LK Mittal. Within the 1 year, they went bust. Now that's very hard because if you're just early stage and you raised Series A, you're hoping Series B and C will come from them. But by the time you are scaling and profitable, they have failed. So I called up this guy's office once. We had a call, and the watchman picked up. You know, अपना हमारी जैसे हम बिहारी है, तो बिहारी watchman और जोर से गुर्रा और मैं कह रहे भाई, I was so surprised. You know, VC's office, some very nice melodious receptionist will be there. So I said, बोला मैं तो मंडल बोल रहा हूँ. मैं कहा मंडल भैया लोग कहाँ है? बोले जी कंपनी बंद हो गई. So it's so funny. The truth was delivered without any sugarcoating. So I said, I thought I've called the wrong company, but they folded up in 1 day. So coming back, same thing in China. You know, we got funded by Enterprise VC, by Siemens. See, this is the thing, na? Siemens and all, लगता बहुत बड़े बड़े नाम है. Siemens had a mobile phone division. Now they went into that. सबने करा तो वो भी घुस गए उसके अंदर. Now they tried, they didn't have the mindset. So the mobile phone division funded other companies to help them build an ecosystem. So we got funded to help games for Siemens. Product was scrap, you know. मतलब बटन ही नहीं दबता था साला गेम क्या चलेगा उसके अंदर. थोड़ा बहुत ऐसी लैंग्वेज बोल सकते हैं ना, थोड़ा लैंग्वेज इज ओके राइट, लाइक
Definitely.
Yeah, that's fine.
and English is okay right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, we were it दुखी with that product यार, ये कहाँ कहाँ से हमने पैसा ले लिया है, भंगार product है तो क्या. And within, so one day the VC was very stupid fellows, so they called me and they said we have bad news and we have good news and we have bad news, what do you want. तो मैंने कहा I want bad news. तो बोले bad news is that we have shut down, our VC has shut down. मैं कहा अरे वाह, what is the good news. Well, the good news is that now we are going to sell you also. So I said, how is it good news? Yeah. बोले no, you used to keep complaining, no, that you don't like us. So now we are going to come out. मैं कहा but हमको बेचकर आप निकलोगे. So that's the word. So coming back, everybody has very deep, nice failures. Some talk about it, some don't. So I'm very proud to be on a platform that talks about it and celebrates. So well done. I'm just going to walk you through a small presentation as the topic has already been shared, and use the same conversation around what we spoke about. Yeah, you guys can see now, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So I'll just breeze you through some points, and then I'll figure out what's going on. So Govind and I were talking. He's saying, "Alok, what are you going to present on?" So I think I said like at least 5 things probably no one has told you ever will, because this is what is taboo and people don't like to talk about it. Nothing that you'll get shocked, don't worry, all legit stuff. So you all are all very young, but the first big there was a very large rush in the USA called, it was California Gold Rush 1849. So of course very very old. There's actually a stamp that the US made in the honor of this movement or this event. And what happened was that there was gold that was supposedly found in the rivers and the river banks of California. And the whole country began to migrate from the east, midwest, west to California in the hope to find gold. And as you can see this picture, there were these gold miners with those bartans and those sieves. trying to find gold, and they were, digging up anything that they could find. And then, as usual, all the hoax began and everything else began. So eventually it ended in a very bad way. A lot of people went bankrupt. A lot of people just lost everything because they thought they'll find gold, but they did, right? But something very different got kind of captured in this movement, which recurs again and again in our world, right? So they failed, huh? They failed. They tried to do something which they thought is available. They all ran into it. These are the themes I'm using, and they tried, but they all failed. But very few succeeded in a very big way. In a very big way. Yeah. So I want to ask this panel first. I'll just come back. Like, anybody knows who won? Those very few people who won this in that zone of time. There were very few outliers who did something that, and some people who benefited from, not from the failure of others, but by staying away and doing. Sorry. I- Maybe Anupam, you can repeat it because it's not clear.
No. I think Govind, there was an echo. Alok, please continue.
So I was asking this question. So does anybody, can they type something here? Can I see people typing?
Yes.
They can, right?
Yes.
Guys, इसको थोड़ा interactive बनाओ यार. बताओ ना. What do you think happened? Like who
Who
so many,
gained out of this? Yeah.
yeah, who gained out of this? Anybody? And I can move on if you want. Shall I move on? Okay, so I'll share, right? I'll continue. Yeah. So there was one of the greatest companies in the world that was born out of this mishap or out of this movement. And apart from that, there were two sets of people who won big time. So the chota mota people who won big time were the people who sold the shovels, जो shovels बोलते हैं ना, dig करने के लिए. वो अपने धंधे में लग रहे, बोले यार गोल्ड किसी को पाने दो, हम तो वो बेचेंगे अपना shovel. And picks होता है ना, for digging the thing. They became millionaires. But it was one company that got created out of this chaos that we all use even today. नाउ यार, अरे भाई लोग बता दो यार, कुछ तो बताओ अभी, इतना तो सिंपल मैंने मुंह में डाल दिया आपके. Anybody, just give me the name of that company that got created because of California gold rush that we are still using today. All of us, guaranteed, all of us. Anybody? Yeah, yaar, it's Levi's. So Levi's became the brand that was born because of the reason, the need to wear rugged clothes, and especially jeans, rugged pants that could withstand the bedrock and the rocks. Which is why if you see in our pockets of Levi's jeans, you have those pivots, those three, or that small pocket. That pocket is to keep the gold. वो छोटी जो पॉकेट होती है ना, एंड वो उसकी जो रिविट होती है, द रिविट इज सच कि गोल्ड नहीं चला जाए. So they are so hard, you can do anything. You'll get bored of your Levi jeans, but they won't break down. Right. So that pocket is meant for the gold, for the stones. When we don't make clothes now to put stones in, but that is what the Levi jean is. So, sorry. So basically, the first thing now that no one will tell you is that real value is not what you think it is. Wherever we go after things that people say are great, or people are wandering about, or karna hi chahiye, I think the lesson that we learn from history is that it's actually sometimes the opposite. Or rather than opposite, there is also other value that is being made available, which you people will ignore. And one of the greatest examples in our life, which we have seen in the last 10 years, is 80 to 90% of internet startups that were focused on e-commerce died, right? Including that Delhi guy, Deal, what is it? I'm forgetting the name. Kunal Bahal, and the other guy. That was the biggest failure. Um, but there was one genre of entrepreneurs who succeeded beyond belief, and they are the delivery guys. So delivery, ship rocket, all those guys that focused on logistics, saying ki let those guys burn their money, but we will focus on logistics, began to really do well. And some of them have, remained there today. So this is the first thing that we should take away, right? Now, let's stay on genes for a minute. It's very interesting. I was just looking this up. Thanks to these sessions, even I learned so much more. So the market for global genes is it's $104 billion, right? A lot of money. And India may also, it's growing very, very fast, phenomenally fast. And everybody is wearing jeans. In fact, if you notice, if you look at what happens, all of the people, like how many people here are wearing jeans right now? Somebody will be wearing, right? Yeah, there you go. Oh wow, boss. तो ये तो बड़ा धंधा तो ये तो बड़ा तगड़ा धंधा है यार ये तो, right? So that's the next part that अरे boss क्या बात है, everybody is wearing है, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं यार. अभी क्या करेंगे हम लोग, ठीक है यार, ये है वो है, एक ब्रांडेड है एक अनब्रांडेड है, धंधा तो बड़ा चंगा है यार. So in this book that you're going to get, there is a very interesting, I know Friday it is, thank you. Now there's a day for jeans, so sweet. Um, there is a chapter called MDP, Minimum Dhanda Product. It's called, I call it MDP, it's actually MVP, but it's my acronym, it's called Minimum Dhanda Product. So the same lure that you see, everybody is wearing jeans, everything is great. I was also sucked into this, kind of pitch. I used to work in my father's socks factory. And जो distributors, dealers, they're very, very clever. They are saying, अरे यार नया बकरा है, मुझे क्या काम कहाँ तक करेगा, बाप तो पूरा बैठ जाएगा उसके सिर पर, तो उसको कुछ फंसाते हैं. तो बोले आलोक जी, आपके पास इतना बड़ा ब्रांड है, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है, आप जीन्स चालू करो. और जीन्स द बॉस, आप क्या मोजा बनाओगे ना, द वे पीपल टॉक. एंड छोटा मोटा मोजा क्या है यार, आप तो जीन्स बनाओ ना, पूरी दुनिया जीन्स पहन रही है. एंड आई एम टॉकिंग 20 years ago, बॉस. टुडे वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट जीन्स व्हिच इज एवरीवेयर, बट 20 years ago it is a big thing, big fad. So in that book, I've written about my journey and how I got sucked into that temptation that everybody is doing it. What a beautiful business, yeah. Everything was a kya demand hai. And I started going around. The good news is I got very lucky with this framework I done called MDP. And I asked 3 questions. That A, is it a big business? Definitely, no doubt. Can I do a differentiated business? So that time stonewash jeans के पहले, वो stress jeans से पहले, there were these treatments that were there. तो ये होल वो होल बुलेट प्रूफ, मैंने कहा मैं बुलेट शूट करता हूँ साला जीन्स के बीच में, तो बुलेटेड जीन्स बनाऊंगा. तो दिमाग बोलने के लिए तो फिर कुछ चलता है ना दिमाग. Then the third was, the question is, can it make money? अभी मारवाड़ी बंदा है यार, मैं तो साला 1 रुपया भी नहीं खर्च करूंगा जब तक 2 घर में नहीं आए, राइट? तो आई सेड यार पहले इन लोगों की कॉस्टिंग निकालते हैं, ये जो इतनी सारी कंपनियां जो बना रही हैं. So luckily they were all open to, I used to tell them, not fake, but I'll process it with you, I will die it with you, so let me come and meet you. So I met them and I saw the margins. Zero margin, loss margin, negative margin. 95 to 99. I didn't go to Arvind and all because that's not my karma. I mean, I'm not going to make Levi's. But all the independents that I met were all losing money. And that is my second point, that basically, even though you see demand and you hear all these reports and blah, 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 the real lesson that I learned is, just because everyone is doing a business doesn't mean that that business is worth doing. And this is where the trap is, I've seen so many I'm doing another e-commerce site, I'm doing another AI, ML, blah, blah. अरे भाई, कुछ सोचो तो बारे में. That a lot of failure happens because of the whole idea of, missing out. The whole FOMO, this FOMO is the big culprit of creating unnecessary friction in our lives. The fear of missing out. So that's the second nugget. We'll talk about it after this thing gets over. The third is this question. I just blogged about it. It's the most stupid thing. Actually, if there were a Guinness World Record of the stupidest question on earth, at least I would nominate this question. A lot of people ask them in interviews when you're young, when you go to some college, where will you be 5 years from now? Where will you be 10 years from now? Yeah. So I'll tell you, someone asked there was a very interesting Google head. I think before there was another guy. I think Shailesh Rao was the Google head in India. Yeah, he then became the Twitter. You all won't know him. He was very ancient, like 10 years ago. So Shailesh Rao को कोई ने पूछा, where do you see Google will be 5 years from now, revenue? वो बोलता है साले मेरे को अगले क्वार्टर का रेवेन्यू नहीं पता है तो क्या बात कर रहा है यार, इससे मुंहफट वो आदमी था तो सब गिर गए, वो बोले बाप रे. So that is the thing. This so you can dovetail many things, projection, simulation, Google sheet, Excel sheet, ऐसे bloody 60, 74, 84 months की sheets बन जाती है कि क्या दनादन मक्खन की तरह ये सब आने वाला है. 2% conversion, all bunk. Essentially, this whole concept of projecting things on the basis of hope, or on the basis of lack of information, or on the basis of not having insight, is the worst thing you can do. And that includes this question. You should see how young, I'll be so and so. If you ask any 8-year-old boy, now I don't know, today they will say, I want to be a gamer. But if you ask any 8-year-old boy, 10 years ago, they say, I want to be a pilot. 20 years ago, they'd say, I want to be a firefighter. Now let's ask how many people in this room want to be a firefighter? Does anybody want to be? I don't think so. पायलट का जो इंडिगो एयरलाइन के साथ हुआ, साला मुक्का खाने के लिए कौन पायलट बनेगा? हम तो टेकी बनेंगे यार, हम मुक्का फेंकेंगे लोगों पर, चल मैं तो जाता हूँ अगर मेरा पगार नहीं मिला बड़ा तो. So the point is, that's the problem, right? So I have a framework that I want to share with you as part 3. It's very interesting. And forget how to answer this question. You don't answer the question, but you do the opposite. So the opposite is this. And what does it mean? Neti neti is a Sanskrit word. And the Sanskrit meaning of it is not this, not that. It's actually a mantra, it's a very deep meditation. Not this, not that. What does it mean? What it means is, in my context, is make a blacklist. You don't make a whitelist. You make a blacklist as you traverse through life from the time you can remember. I don't like people who are arrogant. I don't like people who talk big. I don't like this services business. I'm talking about myself. I don't like companies where brands, yeah, where I have to serve people and they ill treat me. I don't like people where collection is always a headache, so and so forth. And whatever. I don't like people who ask for 35% hike because that's not my. So what happens if you make a continuous list of things that you don't like? What remains then is so shiny and so beautiful, it is your future. Very small things remain. And with that, you can create something magical. So again, in the book I've revised, written that, see, one thing I said is, 3 things I said. I don't want to run a services business. Why? Because I'm fed up of serving clients and being yes man and saying yes sir and so on and so forth. The second thing was, I don't want to build a business for India because I don't like the margins. I like to do international business. So that was the second thing I did. There's one more thing I want you to read and find out. It's very interesting. And that led me to realize my business model. Otherwise, making games for clients and making games for the world, even international, is huge. It's huge. I mean, it's still billions of dollars of business because gaming is now $160 billion industry. But I stayed away from it. So that is the whole thing. So this is very interesting and we'll talk about it. To make a list of things you don't want to do so that you can completely gravitate to what you want to do. Any questions right now? Shall I just, because anybody wants to ask any clarifications? I know you all are listening like good students, but shall we interject something? Is it going well? The flow is what we want, right? These pointers are helping. Just show of hands or any questions or whatever.
Yes.
All good? Okay, so nice. Anupam, anything? Any feedback?
No, we're going good.
Okay,
Yeah,
great,
nice.
awesome. So I'll just continue. 2 more points left, then we'll break. This is interesting. Now, this is very important to all of us. See, what comes first, profits or revenue? Very, very deep problem to solve. And Everybody says, "अरे scale boss, scale लाओ यार, ऐसे तू $100 million लाओ, 100 crore लाओ, boss. अरे what are you talking यार, 5-10 crores, chindi, bullshit, right? Boss, get scale, get scale, get scale, right? The whole thing is you buy revenue, you do artificial marketing. 85% of my PNL is people's PNL is marketing expenditure, blah 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 blah. This is a very tricky question, and again the influence of time and the influence of things around us make us lose our bearing and our north star. We, instead of north star, we start looking at the south star. So the learning I want to share with you is very funny. It said no one died making profits, no one, but 99.98% die making losses while chasing revenue. And the same thing repeats itself, right? All these two, health, the farm easy, there's another guy, all of them crashing because revenues are not catching up. Chingari closing up. All the failures, if you take, they did some great scale, but they had no profitability. Even today, Paytm is valued at whatever it's valued because of its scale. They have to make profit. So their whole challenge on a day-on-day basis that if you've listed yourself, you will be able to only get value when you make money. And this is the litmus question, right? Like if you look at Fortune 500, we all say Fortune 500 for index stocks. But what do? They make money. That is why they are in the index. That is why they are Fortune 500. Fortune happens when money comes, not when money goes. So fundamentally, there are some principles I have which you can avoid failure. Failure cannot be avoided any which way. It's a gift of God. That is why we are humans and we are successful. But in general, there are some principles that you can avoid or use to prevent it. And the last point, this is very interesting. इस पे बहुत मजा आएगा. There's something common between all these three really famous people. Really famous. I think you already know who they are, but I'll say maybe the left guy may not be so well known. He's Ray Dalio, runs the world's largest hedge fund, billions of dollars in management. Mark Benioff, Salesforce owner, Steve Jobs, Apple. Okay. Now tell me what is common. That I'll halt. So they're all American, no problem. Don't say that. They all look old. Yeah. One has died, two are alive, so there's nothing common. अभी बताओ यार क्या है इनके कॉमन, बीच में क्या कॉमन है? अनुपम पहले आप बताओ क्या बात है. विलिंग टू फेल, वेरी नाइस, आई लव इट.
College dropouts, maybe.
क्या बात है, नाइस, गुड अटेम्प्ट, गुड अटेम्प्ट, नाइस, गुड थिंकिंग. और बताओ ना, ये सब है, सही है, ये इन द राइट डायरेक्शन, बट समथिंग टोटली डिफरेंट, इवॉल्व्ड. सोचो सोचो. दे आर ऑल मेन. दैट ओके, नाउ डोंट से दैट. ओके, टेक 1-2 मोर ना, बोलना यार, कोई तो बोलो यार. आप लोग ऐसे बस पेशेंटली देख रहे हो. वन सेकंड. Yeah, very nice. Multiple failures. Very nice. Yes, they are multiple failures. बराबर है. Simplicity. Yes. Investing in what matters. Very nice. Nice. एक दो और then I'll move on. क्या बात है. Nice. Prachi, very good. Consistency. Thinking. Nice, 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 nice. Love it. Love the flow. Very nice. So nice. All of it is true, but there is something deeper that I want to present. They all are meditators. You know, this is the funny thing. This is Mark Benioff's first book. Okay. In the first book, in the first chapter, on the second page, first page is obviously short because it starts in the second page, he writes about a meeting with Amma. You know, Amma is the saint in India who hugs. This is Mark Benioff, founder of Salesforce. And I'm going to read that line for you. Amma looked at us with compassion and intensity and said, in your quest to succeed and make money, don't forget to do something for others. And then I'm reading the last part. On that day in Trivandrum, the seed was planted. 2 years later, I left Oracle the Oracle Nest to do just that. And what did he do? He started Salesforce. Okay. So all of us have to meditate. All of us have to learn how to manage our mind and make the mind your friend. You have to see, staying happy is very hard work. Huh? Very hard work. So Govind and Anupam, of course, are our students. Please connect with me on how to meditate. There's a structure, there is a course, there is a whole program. It's not some fluky thing कि बैठ जाओ, आँख बंद करो, ओम, then you'll get lost. सब कुछ कोड और क्लाइंट और सब कुछ याद आ जाएगा आपको. वो सब नहीं है. But मोटा मोटी mind management. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, Anupam, if you allow me. You see, there are three
Please,
things that,
please, yeah.
that suppose today I explained to you, I said now for the next 15 minutes, never think of a chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream on it. Impossible for you to knock it out of your head. Because I told you to not think, you will think about it twice. पहले तो बोलेगा यार क्या एग्जाम्पल दे रहा है, फिर बोलेगा नहीं मेरे को नहीं उसके बारे में सोचने का है, फिर बोलेगा अरे वापस आ गया, नहीं नहीं हम आता हो. So the mind is not an animal or a thing that you can manage. And the more you resist, the more it persists. The second thing is, our happiness is always fleeting. अगर ये क्लाइंट काम खुश हो गया, मेरे को ऑर्डर मिला तो खुश हो गया, अरे यार एक पागल क्लाइंट है साला, जान निकाल दिया. जान निकलने के बाद, पैसा मिलने के बाद, फिर क्लाइंट के पास जाते हैं, अरे सर और कुछ दो ना. So the mind is not stable and you cannot control it. Forget all that. To be happy, that's the last point. To be happy is very hard work now. See, I will assure all of us 113 people that if you want to be sad, you can be sad within the next 30 seconds. कुछ ना कुछ तो सोच लो यार. मेरा वेट खराब है, मेरा बॉडी खराब है, मेरी रिलेशनशिप खराब, ब्ला 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 ब्ला. अरे वो साले को इतना मिलता है, मेरे साथ था कॉलेज में, साला कुछ पढ़ता नहीं था, बकवास था, अभी क्या कहाँ मन बन गया वहां पर यूएस में. ये वेरी नाइस, hundreds of reasons to fall sad. When you want to genuinely feel happy, no substance, no blah blah, very hard. So we have to learn mindfulness, and you have to learn the ability to be able to be a master or at least a friend of your mind. And now to conclude, see, when you code, there is a learning, there is a technique, there is a method that you have learned first theoretically, then you have learned physically, I mean through experience. When I tell you to swim, you can't suddenly चल करते करते सीख लूंगा मैं यार, फिर तो आप अगले लाइफ में कहीं और मिलेंगे हम लोग आपको. Even to learn a bicycle needs technique. So everything needs a technique. And mindfulness, meditation is a technique. So do invest your time. And I'm not selling myself a course. I'm saying take some time out, sample a few courses. ये करा, मेरे साथ किया, कोई और के साथ किया, and gravitate towards it. So these are the 5 things I want to share with you. I hope that was fun, yeah, Anupam.
Yeah, that was fun. In fact, I would hear out the questions from the team. Would love to have
Yes,
some.
yeah. So nice. First, let me hear whether everybody liked it, enjoyed it. Did you all learn something? Was it different from the normal? I assume, I hope. That's my job.
So, Alok, maybe I will start with the question. You said the first things on the first thing you said that the things are not the ones which you actually see, right? So how do you see beyond? How do you
That's a very,
build yourself to see beyond
yeah,
the
yeah.
obvious?
So I think 95% of that skill is very simple. It's just not succumbing to what comes first. Because one should understand that crowds are inherently dumb. Crowd behavior, that's what they call mob fury. There's a lot of research on mob fury. A lot of people who do bad things during riots and all that, they are asked, they said, we don't know what we did. We were not in that mind. So anyway, when many people are doing, Warren Buffett says, no, when everyone is selling, you should be buying, and when you're buying, everybody should be selling. So I'm not saying make it like a, oh wow, अभी यार ये लोग तो कपड़े में आ रहे हैं तो मैं तो अंडरवेयर में आ जाऊंगा ऑफिस में. It's not that stupid. You have to be very clever. कि boss, if people are doing something Let me understand the gravity of that. Let me understand why are they doing it. The minute you start scratching the surface, a lot of things get revealed. So this MDP concept, this genes concept, there was this whole consultants, the big five, these guys, I'm sorry if people, all chores, just to sell you some 7 lakh rupee report, कुछ चिपकाने के लिए ये करो जी, वो करो जी, कुछ होता नहीं है. They don't tell you how to make money ना. They tell you many things. डिमांड बहुत है, इंडिया में ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा. अरे भाई, हो जाएगा वो पता है, पर हमें कैसे पैसा बनेगा? So, Anupam, to answer your question, one has to use some kind of framework of questions and answers, whatever suits you. And it's not about anything else. Suppose someone says AI and ML is great. Why? I don't know. Everybody's talking about it. No problem. Fine. Okay. Now what to do? At least become an employee in a company. खुद मत चालू करो. किसी के कंधे पर 2-4 बाजू का मारो ना. अब वो कंपनी बंद हो गई, तुम्हारा क्या गया? एक और डाल दो सारे अपने रेज्यूमे, AI ML some bullshit. So there are many ways to participate in something which seems to be of flavor without burning yourself. मतलब सती माँ मत बन जाओ यार उसके अंदर जाकर. Try it out. I tell everybody, why do you want to bloody start something on your own? I'll share this very shocking thing. This though you all will like carpify when I tell you. Nvidia founder was interviewed by Wall Street. And that was the interview of the year, like boss, Nvidia, $1 trillion company, XYZ. So they asked him, entrepreneur, what is this? What is your advice for entrepreneur? And let's get 3-5 answers right now. What does Nvidia founder tell entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs on what to do? This, unless you have read that article, I'll guarantee you no one will get the answer. Guarantee. Try to karo yaar. Try karo. बोलो ना, कुछ तो बोलो. I'll answer that. How to find time for meditation? Sure, good question. Very good question. You'll be surprised at the simplicity of the answer.
The NVIDIA founder, I think maybe have read it. He said, "I don't know how we reach this level."
Correct. That also he said. He said, don't do a startup. And the
Yes,
Wall
I
Street
remember. Yes.
the Wall Street journalist was so shocked. उसने बेचारे ने सब प्रिपेयर किया होगा ना, माल मसाला की छापूंगा, लिखूंगा, ब्लॉगिंग करूंगा. So he was so stunned. He said, what do you mean? He said, boss, the pain and the trauma and the headache and the stress that I went through, if I had known that earlier, I would have not even done it. So coming back, thank God that we can't see the future. Human is blessed with this thing of short-term memory, past and future. So my point, Anupam, is ask some relevant questions, and where you're not sure, don't go 100% in. Do it like a portfolio, like an asset allocation. I'll give my time, but I won't give my capital. So there are two things we have in life. As you're younger, you have time and energy. Three things: time, energy, and capital. I'm just formulating it right now for you. As you get older, things change, right? You have time, yes, energy very low, capital goes higher and higher. So when you're playing with 3 balls in the sky, in the air, don't juggle all 3. Say, अच्छा चल मैं time दे देता हूँ, or I'll give you my capital, but don't go all in. I'll tell you, you should ask Ashish Hemrajani this question on Book My Show. He'll answer the same thing. Yeah, harrowing time he has gone through. Harrowing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Harrowing time. So anyway, any others? Yeah, sorry, I have to answer this question. Babu, it's not Chaitanya, it's not time consuming, it's effort consuming. See, we don't want to make the effort, so we find time. So if meditation cycle today is 20 minutes, the Kriya we teach with the whole cycle is 30 minutes max. So it's not about making time, but carving out time. So for example, if you say, On an average, you'll waste 1.5 hours a day on social media, probably on OTT. If you're commuting long, just meditate while you're in a bus or a public transport through guided meditation. So you don't have to make time, you have to carve time. Very easy to do if you want to do it. The same thing people say for exercise. मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है, फिर आप अस्पताल में पड़े रहोगे बेड पर, टाइम ही टाइम मिलेगा फिर आपको.
Hi, my name is Bhushan. So I wanted to ask a question. Uh, while everyone is on social media, and social media, while it is a great medium for everyone to be in touch and to be there in the middle of what's happening around the globe, but it has created a sense of pressure upon everyone and toxicity as well.
Correct.
And apart from that, people are going through a lot of stuff in their personal life, in their professional life, and then top it up with the layer of social media toxicity and pressure. So how to, you know, trade through all these things when it has affected many individuals on their mental level, on mental level. People are actually fighting with themselves in terms of getting through on daily basis. So how to do that?
A brilliant question. So you have to peep into history a little bit to understand that this has not been new for humans and for sapiens. We have all gone through these phases, not in our era, generation, or your generation. It would be this. Earlier, there was social, the life was outside of the mobile phone. So there were these clubs and there were these social norms that you had to do. For example, explain, being a homosexual or a lesbian 20 years ago was the greatest problem that you had to deal with. Just imagine, I'm reversing the table. No one can choose your sexual orientation. It's a gift of God. What do you do with it? Forget today in India. So all of us have had to be in generations of time deal with situations which were brought upon by society or by businesses, like the opioids addiction in the US. That whole family, you should read Blood. What is it called? That book, very very interesting book. I'll come to me in a minute. They just invented this drug that gave very quick highs and made the whole US addicted. So coming back, I think you cleverly put the positive also in the question. It's a nice place to get informed. It's a nice place to keep track of what's going on. Sometimes I use it very extensively to just outsource everything. Outsource, matlab not not to hire people for free, but I don't know what to do. How do I do this? How do I get this? Including when some of my friends, like, there was a house in Chennai that I wanted to check whether it exists or not. I just said, hey guys, I'm dying, if you don't mind. I want to help find out. There was some Babaji's house. 3 people went on a scooter and found out for me. That's the love of social media. So social media also has love, also has affection, a lot of friends that get created. But to answer your question, see, Babu, it's like it's Sita ji in the Ramayana. Na? You have to have your Lakshman Rekha. If you cross it, then Ravan will take you away. If you don't cross it, then you're safe and sound. So basically, your Lakshman Rekha is what? I will not go beyond a time on social media. So you restrict the time that you get bombarded. I will not follow people that are toxic. I will not. You'll have to put those safeguards or rails around you, because otherwise you'll not be able to keep control.
So
And
Alok,
Haji,
I think it connects with your neti neti principle.
there you
Yeah.
go. So lovely. Not this, not that. No, but you know what he's asking is something very profound that you can't live without it also. It's like saying, अभी मैं नेति नेति बोलूंगा मेरे को टीवी नहीं देखने का है, तो ऐसे नहीं. You have to be very clear. This is very clever, but there are ways. Like, I love what screen time does with Apple, right? It just kind of makes you very aware. So it's a tough one, but I think in the end, if you see, like, I love this. What's behind, and there are a lot of these memes that come with actually दिखता कैसे है साला, वो दिखा रहे हैं कि वो स्विट्जरलैंड में है, but हालत क्या हो रही है वहां पर. I think when you just, again, to conclude, if you just research a little bit more and find out, everybody is funded on LinkedIn. अगर आपको instant depression चाहिए ना, अभी थोड़ा ठंडक हो गई, अगर आपको ये था कि यार मैं तो आज बहुत खुश हूँ, मेरे को थोड़ा परेशान कर दे, मेरे को डिप्रेस कर दे, तो लिंक्डइन खोल ले. अरे मेरे को ये मिला 10 million, 1 million, 5 million, ये कहाँ से आ रहा है? Now let's look at those companies today. Where are they? Right? Everybody did web metaverse. Everybody did Bitcoin. Blah. So I think if you just look back and find out what happened, and then look forward and project it, you're fine. 98% of what you see is fake. Not fake, but it's posturing. It's trying to pretend to be something you're not. Once you put those actuality filters on, you're fine.
Alok, we have 3 questions.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So, Babu, life priority, what keeps you motivated? No, why should I not answer? I want to answer. It's a very beautiful thing. My biggest priority now is to help people. That is the strongest motivation that I could ever find in my life. Why? Because it all dovetails into things I like to do. I love to work on product. If I work on product and I make a product better, I make happiness to people who play games. Thankfully, if I make good product, छपता है, नोट आता है, धना धन नोट आता है, तो पगार भी मिलता है अच्छा अच्छा मोटा मोटा, और फिर उसको खर्चा भी कर सकते हैं. So we can have, further such sessions. You can write a book, you can do this, because you have to have a story to tell. If you don't have a story to tell, what will you write here? So motivation is to help you. Then everything fits into a graph. What inspired you to jumping business before? नहीं, कुछ inspired नहीं था बाबू. It was like a DNA. I was born in a business family. Actually, the regret is that, well, I will never say regret. No, I have regrets for anything in life. But if left to me, I would have been a scientist. I would have been a guy who would probably spend his life looking at black holes. So my problem is, I was born in a family जहाँ गल्ले पर बैठकर धंधा करना is like your जन्म सिद्ध अधिकार. And you should not be educated. It's bad, waste of time. So actually, it was the reverse. I had to fight a lot of the the family instincts to kind of break out and do this. The fantastic question by Elin, is it? Is that the right way, Elin? There are 3 things. One is, biggest misconception is mindfulness is about concentration. I'm going to concentrate and I'll put a lot of effort to be mindful. Can't happen. It's deconcentration. The second biggest and worst misconception is that meditation is about being thoughtless. Actually, you have to be inundated with thoughts. When you're inundated with thoughts, you get to see them in a very unique way. I'll share one very interesting uh, chapter I wrote in my second book, The Cave. I went to a Deepak Chopra conference because my VC, that Clearstone, happens to be Deepak Chopra's son-in-law. And Deepak Chopra held a blue cup in the air. This is in California. I'll just quickly narrate it. And he asked everyone, what do you see? Everybody said blue cup. So he said, let me tell you what happened. Light from the day shone on the cup, it reflected, went into your eye, and then he talked about the iris, cornea, and retina. And he said, then something told your brain that the color question is white, blue. What is the color? Your brain registered it's blue. Your lips spoke the answer. Everybody said yes. So he said, now what happened was, it was not instant. There was sequence of events, right? It's like a code that ran. The code ran very fast, but it ran. He said, in meditation, you can see between every event. And that gap, if you can see between events, that is the real mindfulness. So thoughts to chahiye. But what happens when you sink into meditation is you still watching. अरे वाह बेटा, तू क्या बोल रहा है? अच्छा, उसके बारे में सोच रहा है, उसकी गर्लफ्रेंड के बारे में jealous हो रहा है. That is when you become a spectator of your mind rather than a participant of your mind. So you have to become a witness, not the doer. If you had to create a user manual for working living with you, what is the one thing you want your colleagues to do which might not be me? So nice. First and foremost, truthfulness. Because with truthfulness, everything gets sorted out. Just be truthful, be humble, and be passionate. मेरे को मुर्दे लोगों से मजा नहीं आता है, मरे हुए हैं, मर गए, कर रहा हो, वो नहीं आता. तो just passion only. I only hire passion. I don't give a damn about these degrees and समझ में अरे खुद साला मैं बीकॉम हूँ तो क्या मैं लोगों को बताऊंगा क्या करना चाहिए. So the thing is यार, passion रहो, humble रहो, truthful रहो, then everything takes care. गलती हो गई सर, मेरे को नहीं पता है सर. No one asks, I don't know. Coders are spending two days in our company struggling to find some bloody shitty thing on. अरे भाई लोग पूछ लो यार, तुम्हारे कौन से पगार कट जाएगी. बाजू वाले से नहीं पूछते हैं कि भैया तूने कैसे करा. So culture of India or our growing up is that don't ask, don't look weak. I blogged sometime recently that being vulnerable is one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself. You know, I blogged about this Jagannath Puri Hare Krishna idol. So it's so cute. He's being checked by a doctor. So in the Rath Yatra, Jagannath ji falls ill. And then the doctor comes and checks him. And the doctor gives the verdict, okay, he's fine, he's recovering. So imagine that Lord Krishna has positioned himself as being vulnerable. कि मैं भी बीमार हो सकता हूँ. So one guy wrote to me from Orissa when he saw it, he said, so happy. He said, Alok ji, Krishna, this avatar of Krishna, he says, you do what you want with me. You want to scold me, you scold me. You want to heal me, you heal me. You want to become a sakha, you become a sakha. So that is it. The humility of being yourself. Good, happy.
Amazing, amazing answers, Alok.
I'm so happy. You all got the best out of me. ऐसे होता है ना सत. So now again, everybody will say, साला ये कौन साधु संत महाराज आ गया है, बाबा आलोक आने वाला है. No, this is what we call satsang. See, one of the what that misconception of spirituality. सत्संग बोलते अरे भजन मंडली, कोई सब बाबा लोग कुछ नाच रहे हैं. नहीं नहीं नहीं. Satsang is the company of truth. All we did today for 1 hour was be in the company of the truth. So when you're in the company of truth, a lot of pleasure comes.
Alok, I have one question. Yeah, so, and this might. So, for all others, Alok has also written a book called The Cave, where he got an opportunity to visit the cave of uh,
Babaji.
Avatar Babaji.
Yes.
And just wanted to ask you one question on this. How has been your experience? Like, if you want to explain that.
Yeah,
How?
yeah. It's so, see, we now go to the cave twice a year. It's been going since 2012. So we must have done about 15 visits so far. There are three layers to that, Anupam. One is that is why at least I know about the Hindu, all our temples and places of pilgrimage have been high up. Kedarnath, Badrinath. Why? Because when you go to higher altitudes, you become much more clear-headed. You know, your oxygen levels are of course lower, but exercise makes you feel blank. Secondly, all places of worship or of energy, like your office, any place of energy and good intention is more powerful than a place which doesn't have that or negative energy. You know, so any of these places where things may have happened, who knows whether they happened or not, it begins to manifest to you. And third is you get a lot of me time. See, what will you do in a cave? You cannot sit with your laptop and code. Even your mind will not allow that. So when you can't find me time in the current scenario because your mind gets distracted. And then you go with people. We took our first batch last year. Last year now. So happy. Satsang, talking, doing. So that is it. So experience is profound. Hoega it profound. See, if you go to a cinema, earlier I used to go to the multiplex. It's very rare that you'll come out feeling very bad. खड्डे में गया मूवी यार, मूवी तो साला तेल ले ले गया, बट पॉपकॉर्न मिला, दोस्त मिले, हुआ ही हुआ, यू नो, तो यू फील गुड. That's it. uh, can being vulnerable compared to divinity? No, yeah, it's being human. I don't know about divinity. I wish I had divinity as a company. It's being human. The more natural you are, the better you are. As the story of Steve Jobs, he went to this VC in California again and again, again and again, kept getting rejected. So one day he sat on the ground in front of him and he went into mudra pose. So the guy said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Listen, don't give me your money. At least learn to meditate with me." And he was sitting on the ground. अरे वो बोला भाई मेरे चाचा तू ले ले पैसा भी ले ले और because he was so stunned at the humbleness and at the simplicity. Integrated mindfulness in the corporate culture of your organization. See, Babu, we cannot infuse that. We offer our course for free as an employee if you are a part of our team. I share small nuggets of how it has helped me evolve. A lot of people say, "Look, where does the clarity come from? Where does the energy come from?" I say it's all meditation. So by living some of these principles, you inspire people. But beyond that, we don't integrate it because it's like, I don't want to be like some, you know, some orange clad guy who's, selling something in the company. I mean, orange just a color of reference, but whatever. Awesome, man. What fun. Thank you so much, Govind. Thank you so much, Anupam. Such a pleasure, such an honor. I wish we can do this more often. And again,
Sure.
thank you for being such a good supporter of my book. I hope everyone reads it, enjoys it, and then maybe you can do a nice session after this. Again, if you all want, on the book, we can do a get together. I
Sure.
anyway want to do a good, like a what did you find in the book kind of thing. And if you guys read it, please review it. It'll be very kind of you. Whatever you want, 1 star, say 5 star, whatever you want. Because I love feedback on Amazon. Yeah.
Sure. So
Thank you so
thank
much.
you. Thank you, Alok. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your wonderful ideas, your inspiration and motivation, all the things which you said. In fact, for all others, we have a gift in the office where we would be distributing Alok's latest book,
Yes.
and we would urge everyone to read through it. It's a small book.
Yes.
Uh,
Thin.
it's smaller chapters which you can go through by just sitting in 10 minutes kind of sessions, and you can think on it, reflect on it, and it's going to be a great ride. It's a learning experience for me, so I highly recommend everyone else. Thank you, Alok. Thank
All
you. Thank you for being here.
stay blessed. And more importantly, meditate, reach out. Let's do a session for all of you, not together. You can do it with your families, you can do it independently. We do monthly sessions. These guys have done that. So whatever you all want. And if you all want a larger batch, then we can do it together. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Jai Guru.
Thank you, Alok. Jai
Bye.
Gurudev. Thank
Jai
you.
Guru.
Bye.
Bye.